Well, it's about time we got back to work. What? Who are you and what are you doing in my test chamber?
We're the PrinnyCast team, and I think we made a wrong turn at Albuquerque because I have no idea how we got down here. But,
Hey.
I'm Chris.
I'm Mike.
I'm Grover.
Well, I suppose you'll do. I've been without any subjects for 2 whole months. And Mistress Etna is rather irate.
Whoa, no. Playing games for hours on end sounds fun and all, but I'm not really crazy about the whole detonation rate I've heard about down here. Can we just record our show and we'll be out of your hair lickety-split?
Just get me subjects back in here soon, or I'll definitely put you 3 to work.
Okay, you've got a deal, man.
Get us the hell out of here.
Sounds like we've got to do a search mission for test printies later, but for now, let's get this pumpkin rolling. Welcome to PrinnyCast Roundtable, a casual weekly show where we talk about what we've been up to and the various gaming-related stuff over the last week. Edna's chatting with us through text messages. How she let us get down here, I don't know. I wonder if it's not a conspiracy. You'll see the Kickstarter projects and stuff. And in the background there for something to watch while we talk about stuff, and you can check out the links below if you're curious about any of them or want to fund them. The bundles of this week, and the new Humble Bundle is a ton of Sid Meier goodies, largely around the Civilization series. Bundle stars new Extreme Sins bundle, which I almost got because they would make amazing printy plays, but I'm not sure how much outside of that, especially right now, I would actually play them. Indie Royale has a new 10-game bag of bundle, but whatever. I'll just edit that. And the short-living groupie spotlight for Firehose Studios, including a Tower Defense Go Home Dinosaurs and Slam Bolt Scrappers, which reminds me of a very fancy upgraded update to Fortress on the GBA for the few of you who remember that awesome little game, for $1 a piece. And, here's some freshly launched Groupies Be Mine 11 bundle with a trunk full of games plus bonus games for a minimum of $1 for the whole thing. Plus the weekly Humble Bundle this week, just 20 minutes ago, came out. That is double fine. Whew, that's a lot of crap. So what have we been playing this week, Grover?
Well, I played some Defense Grid. It's a tower defense game. Really good story. You begin off, there's aliens on your world, you need to protect them, and there's an AI from someone that died or whatever. And, it's really good. And then you beat the game, and, you see all these DLC, and you think, oh, expansions. No, DLC. It's just maps. There is no extra stuff or anything. So, yeah. If I were you, I would just buy the first game with none of the expansions, play that, and if you want to play other maps, then so be it. Otherwise, screw it. I also play Dust, the Elysium game, and that game's awesome. I saw a 5 out of 5, and I was just like, is this really 5 out of 5? And started playing like, yes, the art in the game is mind-blowingly amazing.
Gorgeous game.
Final Fantasy 14, that's it. I just do my daily shit in that. Minecraft, just kind of defecting from my server that I was on and have my own little server I play around on now, just because it's unspoiled. I don't have people coming in and doing other things that kind of just annoy me. And then just Bejeweled Diamond Mine, and that's it.
Cool. How about you, Mike?
Well, I've got the usual World of Warcraft, and this week I've started a new MMO. Well, new for me. Sydney had an old copy of the Collector's Edition Final Fantasy XIV, and with that old copy there was a guest pass, and I used that guest pass for a free 30 days. And
they still worked?
They still worked. Both of them did, so all we really have to pay is the subscription if we decide to keep it. I'm pretty sure she will. I don't know if I will or not. I don't think I could do 2 MMOs, but she really wants me to. I don't know. Maybe I will get it just to make her happy and then play it every once in a while. But I've also been playing. Yeah, I've also been playing Mark of the Ninja and some Spelunky and of course Binding of Isaac. And Mark of the Ninja is really, really fun, so I'll keep playing that. I'll probably play that as soon as we're done recording today. What have you been playing?
Well, crawling ever closer to the end of Legendary, and it's, I've been talking about this game for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks now. It makes it sound like it's a long game, but it's a really short game. I'm on the final levels, and I've only been about 4 hours into it, so that shows you how little I've been playing it over the last 3 weeks. It's like 10 minutes here, 30 minutes there. But more Mountain Blade, I do enjoy that one. I started out Game of Thrones finally, and it feels a lot like a poor man's Dragon Age so far. I was expecting it to be a little more action-adventure-y than straight-up role-playing game like that. And I'd almost not count Disgaea, as I was mostly playing it largely to get the specific footage for the review vids, which, by the way, I apologize. Grover's vid was supposed to be up last night, but I'll probably upload it this afternoon since I'll be gone most of the day anyway. So, oops. But I was legitimately playing Disgaea there for about a half hour. So, yeah, a little bit of gaming going on.
I haven't played Disgaea in so long, I need to play it again.
It wasn't that long. It wasn't that long ago.
It's been about a month.
I suppose so. But outside of that, our main topic for today, and we're actually seriously going to try to get into a topic today, is all about Nintendo. Now, we've been talking about this off and on for a while, but a lot of big things happened this week that I think makes it a perfect time to finally address this officially on the show. So we'll start off with, as we all know, Nintendo's had a really rough time in recent years, largely due to as successful as the Nintendo 64 and GameCube were, let's be honest, they were not the successes they were looking for. So they've been struggling for a while and living largely off of their magnificent sales on their very successful handhelds. So when the Wii came out, it hit a market that had never been tapped before. And sadly, that is the only reason that system was a success, because as everybody noted, in the latter half of its life, it started taking a nosedive because everybody who was interested casually in it had it, and they weren't necessarily buying a lot of games. So there was some problems there. And then when they came around with the Wii U, they kind of slightly abandoned the gimmick approach. I mean, there's still certainly a gimmick to the Wii U. It was more of a way of opening the TV up a little bit, I think, making it more multiplayer friendly and so on. And I think it was something that didn't really click with consumers the way they wanted it to.
Well, the marketing was terrible. Most people think that it was just an adapter for the Wii.
That too.
They don't realize it's a whole new system.
It would have helped.
I just wish they would make a normal game controller. I mean,
They'll never do that.
These weird ass controllers.
It is a normal controller. It just has a screen on it.
There's nothing controller.
But there's nothing abnormal about it. It's got 2 analog sticks, a D-pad, 2 bumpers on each side, and then your 4 normal buttons and a start and select. That's the most normal a Nintendo controller has been since the Super Nintendo.
True.
Sorry, that's my rant. I mean, aside from the giant screen in the middle, which even Sony is doing that, their screen just isn't as big.
Yeah.
So,
well, Nintendo was trying to make it where you could play the game without needing the TV, and which is a really good idea, because if the system was more powerful, I think I was talking about this with Grover about Super Mario 3D World, about having multiplayer that everybody could play it at the same time and not be on the same level. Unfortunately, the system can't handle that, I know, but
yeah,
still.
that would have been a really good idea. So then you could have had the split screen on your TV, but the system would feed the actual individual controller the information for only your player.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be, supposing they could have more than one of these controllers hooked up to a system, which it doesn't support.
Oh, I thought you could have 2 or 3 of them in there. 4.
Nope. It's only one gamepad. You can have...
And then you have to do with the damn Wii controllers.
Well, you don't have to use those, actually. You can use the classics as well. There's they call it the Wii U Classic Controller Pro, and it's a wireless Wii Pro controller, but it looks kind of like a boomerang-style Super Nintendo controller. It's kind of a cross between a Super Nintendo controller and a PlayStation 2 controller, put it that way.
I need to get one of those, because every time I mess with one of those nunchuck ones, I want to throw it out the damn wall.
Sometimes it'll happen automatically.
Yeah.
Put back on track a little bit with Nintendo's kind of financial issues here. They've mentioned that while they're not pursuing, they're leaving themselves open to consider the idea of merging or being acquired by another company to make sure Nintendo keeps its hands in the game, which is something even President Iwata admitted, or CEO admitted, that was a bit unusual to consider, because Nintendo's always been one of those type of companies that stood on its own feet. It did its own thing, and it was very proud of that, to the point that it would alienate itself from third-party publishers on occasions because of that attitude. So what do you guys think about if somebody else merged or bought Nintendo?
I was just hoping they would turn into a game developer like Sega.
I wouldn't want somebody else to have any say in a Mario or a Zelda that is not Nintendo. Mm-hmm. So if something was going to happen where the company would have to change, I would rather they put their games on Xbox or Steam or PlayStation instead of actually giving someone else the reins of the company to be like, hey, you're going to do this with Mario instead of this other thing you're doing.
We're going to give Mario a gun.
Or you're gonna make Zelda way edgier than it is, which there's some merit to be said for that, because of how successful Ocarina of Time was, and it was like an edgier Zelda for its time. It was. But I'm tired of the realistic, everything's gonna be military gray and brown first-person shooter games, and that's why I've been playing way more indie games. They're more colorful, they're more fun, they're more like a game to me. Mm-hmm. And Nintendo never lost its flair for making those kind of games.
They do like their colors.
They do.
Even when they do take serious approaches, like when they hired, what's her name, Retro Studios to do Metroid Prime, that was a colorful first-person adventure game. We can't really call it shooter.
It was, and it was really, it still felt like Metroid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember the beating that they took for trying to make Metroid a first-person game. There were people that were super excited, and there were people like, what are you doing? This is supposed to be a side-scrolling explorative game. Yeah, what are you doing? But it worked out, I think. I mean, it was extremely successful, so I had all three, and I still bought the triple pack that they came out with.
I think it's good that they take different approaches to their franchises every now and then. I'm one of the people that, while I do not like the game per se, I do not hate the idea that what they did with Legend of Zelda 2. They were trying to do something different. They were not trying to ride the success of the first game and make just another one exactly like it.
See, no, I actually liked Zelda 2. I played it way more than I played the original Zelda. But
that game is so damn hard.
Frustrating.
It's not bad. That game is psychotically hard.
And it's just, I prefer, I think, side-scrollers more than I prefer top-downs. And it sounds crazy to say that I like the original Zelda less than I like Zelda 2, considering that A Link to the Past was my favorite Zelda of all time. So, but I don't know. I just didn't, it's hard to put a finger on like why I liked it.
All in all, though, I think any company that would walk in to try to acquire or just merge with Nintendo would understand what Nintendo's been over the last several years.
I know people always complain about, the sequel machine, but it's like I've mentioned before on this show that people will complain when you change something, but they'll also complain when you make a sequel that like keeps everything the same. They're like, you're just cashing in. You can't make people happy. People just like to complain and have drama. So they're not going to take what you do with any sort of grace or gratitude. It's going to be like, this is what I would have done. The whole armchair developer mentality. And I know the groan, he said armchair developer. But, it does exist. And I think until you make a game or sit through the process with somebody who is making a game, like, you can't really say that about everything. You can say that about some companies like EA, who really do that.
I think everybody does it a little bit.
I think so too, but not... I wouldn't say everybody, honestly.
I don't know. Who do you know that doesn't pump out a bunch of sequels? It doesn't necessarily mean they aren't good, but as far as just pumping out a name for the sake of the name, Capcom's notorious for it. Konami has how many Castlevanias now? And so on and so forth. But there is differences, and I definitely appreciate that's what you mean by that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. I'm talking about...
like the differences between a full theatrical, we really put effort into the sequel, and something that goes straight to DVD.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know, some companies, and I know everybody knows I'm a Nintendo fan, so I'm going to get flack for saying this because Nintendo's bad about it too, just like to pump out sequel after sequel after sequel. They don't innovate within those titles. At least Nintendo does innovate a little bit. You might not like what they do, but they try to innovate.
When they aren't re-releasing the exact same game in a collection or as a standalone Wii U eShop thing.
It seems like they do that with every new system they have. They start re-releasing titles that are, they're classics. Although I will say that Mario All-Stars had not gotten a re-release since the Super Nintendo, so that was okay.
Yeah, it's better than releasing them separately as different games. But speaking of sellouts, how do you guys feel about this? They've also been keeping many options open for other business ventures like licensing their characters out to other companies, as long as there would be no negative impact on Nintendo's overall goals or business models. And almost as an example, this week McDonald's in England is offering a Super Mario-themed Happy Meal.
That's not the first time McDonald's has had Mario-themed Happy Meals, though.
It's not the first time that Nintendo has marketed stuff either. I mean, there's stickers, there's party plates, there's
blankets,
cereal,
shirts, the Mario Brothers cereal.
So here's a quote from Iwata. Licensing Mario in digital areas would mean that there is a possibility that Mario will appear in stamps or wallpapers for smartphones, and I will not rule out this kind of business. This is because we believe that this would not be in direct competition with Nintendo's business and will not threaten our video game platform business, which integrates hardware and software.
Right, and I agree with that. I mean, we had Link in a Soul Calibur game, so I don't see a problem with them licensing their characters for things like that. Capcom is licensing them Mega Man for Super Smash Bros. Konami licensed them Solid Snake for Super Smash Bros. For the Wii.
That's also because they also were working with these companies, because if you remember, I forgot the name of it, Twin Snakes, Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, was largely published by Nintendo.
Yes.
And Namco actually made several games. I think they made one of the Star Fox and one of the F-Zero games. So Nintendo's worked closely with a lot of these big companies like this in the past.
Yes, they have. But really, again, I don't think licensing the characters is a terrible idea. Every company these days does it. Like, get your crossover in. We're making a golf game. Get your Kratos. So, I mean, it's just, I don't see a problem with things like that. Now, I think what he's saying is that as long as nobody thinks that they can make a Mario game, while we're making a Mario game, then we don't have a problem. And I agree with that. I mean, you want your characters out there in as many places as you can get them. Just, And
it's not just the advertising, it's the revenue too, and they really need that right now.
That's exactly true.
So I'm cool with it too. And Wada went on to say that he wants to keep them in the console business for decades, not wanting to stop making games nor the systems they'd appear on, but also claimed that free-to-play and free-to-start games, like so many mobile and online RPGs and combat titles, are a business model they don't want to jump into and can't really, because they have to first convince customers to buy the system where they can even hook them with those kind of games. So going on to finish out his statement with, quote, only 2 years ago, many people urged Nintendo to follow other companies into what was then a very lucrative area, but no one says that any longer. In a similar vein, those who now claim that we should make games for smart devices might or might not be saying so in 3 years. It is our determination for our midterm future to make efforts to devise our own solutions different from others, which kind of contradicts some of the stuff they were saying about potentially making stuff for smartphones before, but that's why I was saying I think it's more related to applications than video games.
Yeah, I mean, he had indicated that it wasn't going to be games.
Yeah.
He said he just wasn't ruling out the possibility of putting Mario and their main characters in an app somewhere.
So all in all, I do not think that there's going to be an end to Nintendo anytime soon. If nothing else, they will find a way, because I want to keep Nintendo around.
I do too. I would love to have children that were able to play the same games made by the same company on the same systems that I grew up playing.
Indeed. We don't want to all live on emulators.
Right.
So we could go into this longer, but we've already got the show running a little long. So before we go, I want to give a shout out to Elias Thompson, who launched the Elias Thompson Show this week. It's sort of like what we do here with geekdom news and gameplay and humor and craziness. So check out the link below in the annotation if I don't forget to put it on there, which should be shown on the screen anytime soon. And go check him out. You can follow us on Twitter at PrinnyCast, and you can tongue twist us. You can contact us with email at prinnycast@gmail.com, and you can find the rest of the links to YouTube and Twitch channels and all that stuff, sometimes used, down below. And we'll catch you next week for some more Roundtable.
See you next week.
See you next week.